How is it going, and thank you for tuning in this video. Today I'm here to discuss my time attending the first ever Game of Thrones official fan convention that took place this past weekend on December 9th through the 11th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Not only did I attend it, I was able to meet one of the biggest stars of the series, being Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and jump right into things. Now, originally this convention was actually supposed to take place back in February in Las Vegas, and coincidentally enough, I was actually going to be in Vegas that same exact weekend they're doing the convention for my girlfriend's birthday. However, they ended up postponing the event. They never really announced why. I want to assume for COVID reasons, but at that time, restrictions were kind of lifted at that point. So without really a further proper explanation why, they pretty much just, postponed the event. Months go by without any explanation or any announcement, and then randomly, in August, they announced that the convention was going forward, but this time in Los Angeles, and not only that, they'll be having a special guest being Kit Harington. As soon as Kit Harington was announced, I was like, okay, I'm officially going, because honestly, I was only going to go to it in Vegas if they had a big enough name there, and no disrespect to any of the other actors that were there or already announced at that point, but it's like, unless you have a main star there really was kind of no reason for me to go. But once Kit Harington got announced, and I'm like, LA is only a 6-hour drive from me, I was like, without a doubt, I'm going, because I didn't know when or if I'd ever have another opportunity to meet Kit Harington. So we fast forward things this past weekend, and I attended the event. I only went on one day, which was Sunday, because that was the only day Kit Harington was going to be there. And honestly, I felt like, one day was pretty much all I need to do for this convention. And honestly, I was right. And what I mean by that is, honestly, outside of, the signings and meeting the actors and whatnot, there was essentially nothing to do at this event. With this being the first one, I kind of realized there is, trial and error, but for a company like Creation Entertainment that's been doing events for years for shows and whatnot, doing fan conventions, to me, there was kind of no excuse to have a convention like this where there's pretty much little to nothing to do outside of meeting the stars. Now, I wasn't expecting this huge convention with all these different activities to do and all these rooms to go to like you'd have like at a regular Comic-Con or whatnot, but at least something to do between time, because if you're meeting people, they have set times, and what you're doing between those times, you're just essentially doing nothing at this convention. Now, I'll pretty much explain how the layout went. Now, you had pretty much two floors. You had the first floor, which was your registration. Pretty much you got your COVID checks, vaccine checks, whatever you pretty much needed to pretty much show that, you either been vaccinated or you don't have COVID. And then your registration, which you pretty much get your wristbands for. So you got two wristbands for both COVID and the event. And then you pretty much go up to the second floor right above it, which contains the main rooms, which is first off Flea Bottom Market, which is the main room, I guess you can call it, which you go in there. That's where it has the merch. You have the figures, like the three Zero figures getting showed off. You have the House of the Dragon Iron Throne in that room as well. And you have the stars, kind of, I don't want to say the smaller stars, but you have the other cast members doing their signings there. But that entire room is extremely small. Literally, you can circle that entire room in probably about a minute. It's very compact and cramped, and that was their main room. Next to that room, you had the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones, so you can go in there, take a picture on the throne. And there was another room next to that, which was called the Dragon's Den, which had a dragon head coming out, and you could take a picture of that. And then after that, you pretty much had the Hall of Faces photo room, which was a room that you got your professional photos taken, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and there was the Red Keep Theater, I believe it was called. That was on the first floor where the registration's at. You just go right by that, and that's where they're doing like the panels and stuff. But that was everything they had to offer there. Well, there wasn't anything, really extraordinary. There wasn't really even like a concession stand. There was like a small little corner of like you can get like chips and like a few drinks and whatnot. But in terms of like things you could do, there was literally nothing. There was really no food or anything, which I wasn't expecting a bunch of anything. But I don't know. I really had no expectations for this, but at the same time, I was somehow let down how little there was to do at this convention. I don't know, I felt let down by that extent. And because of that, how small it was, it made me glad I only went for one day, because if I went for the whole weekend, I'd be probably losing my mind trying to figure out what the hell to do, because there's nothing to do there. And I really, really felt bad for the people that paid for the Iron Throne package, because that thing was like $1,200 or whatever, probably more than that. So if you got the package deal and you attended this event, I think the only thing really you got extra was like your own secret panels, and like I think the DJ thing with the actor that plays Hodor. But besides that, there really wasn't much extra you got with I think the packages that would have justified the prices, in my opinion. So, but with that being said, even though there was so very limited things to do at this convention, it did not take away my fun I had. I thought for what they had to offer, I enjoyed it. It wasn't an amazing convention or anything. And the only reason why I went was to meet Kit Harington. That was 100% the only reason why I went. If he wasn't there, I wouldn't have been going to this convention. And if I would have went to this convention just for fun, I honestly would have been pissed off making the trip. There definitely should have been more to offer at this convention. I only went there for one reason, and one reason mine, that was meet Kit Harington. That was the sole reason why I went to this convention, because honestly, I don't know if and when I'd get an opportunity to meet him again. He doesn't do conventions that often, at least in the United States. You know, recently with, you know, since COVID has happened, I haven't really seen him do any appearances. The last appearance I can recall him doing was at a Comic-Con, you know, right after Game of Thrones wrapped up. So it's been quite a while, at least that I know of, that he's done, you know, appearances. So that's the reason why I really wanted to go to this, honestly, was solely to meet Kit Harington. And probably that was a lot of people's reasoning to be going, was probably just to meet him, to be perfectly honest. In terms of the official first Game of Thrones official one, because I know there's been, you know, like I think Con of Thrones or something. There's been like fan-made cons, obviously, for Game of Thrones that have happened over the years. But for the first official one, I don't think it was that spectacular. Outside of this, you know, like I said, outside of meeting the actors from the show, there really wasn't much to it, and it was honestly a piss poor convention put together. For the time I was there, I only went for one day. You know, it was fine. I had fun. I still enjoyed myself, and that's all that should matter. Even though there's very little to do, as long as you still have a good time, which I felt I was able to do still, that's all that really matters in the long run. All right, now getting to my time at the event itself, the con on Sunday went from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., so it was a 7-hour event, which at times felt like 7 hours, because again, there was pretty much nothing to do in between things, so you're pretty much sitting around just waiting for your next thing to come at times. So, but I got there a little after 10, you know, went to registration and get my wristbands and whatnot, and then I went to the second floor, because the very first thing I had to do was actually meet Kit Harington. I was starting my morning off there by meeting him. The sole reason why I went there, because his photo op was at 10:45, so immediately we got there, went straight to his line, and yeah, we waited, and then it wasn't a very long wait. I want to say I got to meet him a little after 11, so I wasn't in line very, very long. And of course, the way these photo ops go, literally, you go there, say what's up, photo, and you're out. Literally, if you're lucky, 10 seconds total. 10 seconds, which you may sound ridiculous, especially for the price I paid to meet him, but it is what it is. I wasn't expecting anything besides, you know, a very quick interaction, because it's a photo op. What are we really going to do? We're not going to stand there for 15 to 20 seconds talking and then take a photo and leave, you know? So I understand they're trying to get people through as quickly as possible, and that's exactly what happened. And yeah, I'll go ahead and show you guys a photo right here of me and Kit Harington. There it is. I'm not putting a photo up because they print your photo out, and then if you want like an actual JPEG, you have to email the guy, and you have to actually pay for the picture, which to me is kind of ridiculous. That I already paid to meet him, but now I got to pay even extra to get the downloadable photo of it. But they do print it out, a great 8x10, and of course, like I said, here's a picture of me and Kit Harington right there. First and foremost, I know people are probably like, whoa, what's up with the facial hair? I'll address this because I'm gonna mention it later, but he did mention in a panel, in his panel later on, that he has this look because he's doing a current project where he's a bad guy, so that's why he has that look. So he just doesn't have this look for fun. That's what some people thought he was doing, but there's a reason for it. But yeah, I was very, very glad to meet Kit Harington. It was a very brief interaction. I went up to him. I said, hello, Kit, and he immediately was like, hello, nice to meet you. What's your name? I told him my name was Zach. Quick handshake, posted the photo, and told him it was, you know, it was great meeting him real quick, and then, you know, how much I appreciated it, and, you know, he said the same thing back, and I walked away, and that was it. So very brief interaction meeting Kit Harington, but I'm very, very happy with the way the photo turned out. Very, very excited to have met him, and yeah, again, like I said, this was the sole reason why I went, and this 100% made the trip worth it to me. So after that, I had some time to kill because my next photo op I had for Paddy Considine, because I was also meeting Paddy Considine, who plays King Viserys Targaryen from House of the Dragon. I was meeting him, but my photo op for him wasn't until 1 o'clock. So, you know, between then and then, I had almost, you know, 2 hours to kill before that. So at that point, went to Flea Bottom Market, looked at the stuff around, went to the photo booth for the House of the Dragon Iron Throne, took a photo on that, obviously. So took that, and then went around the room some more, looked at the merch. I was actually going to buy a shirt there because they did have a shirt and a hat that had the Game of Thrones official fan convention like logo on it. So I did want at least that to say that, you know, I don't know, I like the event exclusive stuff. You know, they had a bunch of stuff that was like regular Game of Thrones merch, but I wanted something with the official convention on it. And I wanted the shirt because I just didn't really care to have the hat, because the hat honestly looked really, really cheap anyways. And but unfortunately, the shirt was sold out in my size, so I didn't end up getting anything merch-wise, which is fine. I only really wanted the shirt mainly because it had it was an event shirt. So, but it is what it is. What can you do? Saved me $30 away. I saw it, so check out on that. Also in the room, I actually got these Game of Thrones little koozies for the Game of Thrones slot casino, the little app game. One of the people at the booth stopped me and just said, hey, download the game and you get a free koozie. And he gave me two because I was with my girlfriend. And honestly, the funny part about these koozies are these are so goddamn small, and I didn't realize at the time, like, this literally would fit like, you know, a classic Coca-Cola bottle. That's like the only thing this thing would fit. This does not fit like a water bottle or even like most freaking bottles. Honestly, this is like I don't know what they really expect to be put in this, but yeah, this thing is very, very small, and no wonder they were just giving away for free. But I appreciate it though. I'm not gonna take it away from it. I'll take, you know, free stuff. I don't mind it, but yeah, I was just kind of, it was just hysterical to me how small these things actually were. And then I pretty much after that walked out, went into the room with the Game of Thrones Iron Throne. Took a picture of that, even though I've already had a picture of me in the throne when I went to San Francisco 3 years ago at the AT&T store. There was a whole Game of Thrones setup, so I already have a picture of me on the Game of Thrones Iron Throne, but I figured since it was there, why not take another one? And after that, went into the next room next to it, took a picture with the dragon head from the Dragon's Den because I figured, why not? And nothing, you know, there's really nothing else to do. And after that, we kind of just walked around. I waited till the registration area was somewhat clear because there was a big Game of Thrones like block logo that I want to take a picture in front of, but people kept, you know, taking pictures with it, so I kind of had to wait till that was cleared. Took a picture of that. And behind that, they actually had a head of Icy Viserion, so I want to take a picture with that because, you know, why not? Nothing really else to do. And then, like, far off in the distance in the corner, they had, like, a little Game of Thrones fan convention, like, drop, like, little red carpet little thing. So I made sure to take a picture with that as well. So a lot of it was just me taking pictures in front of anything that was, you know, you were able to take a picture with. And that's pretty much how I was occupying my time. Then we pretty much spent majority of the other time just sitting around and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then pretty much we waited till it was my time to meet Paddy Considine, and that's exactly what I did. So pretty much same process as Kit Harington. Very, very quickly, you go in, say what's up, and that was it. And yep, here it is right here, me and Paddy Considine. Very awesome guy. He was very cool. Met him, is very friendly. It was funny because I told him it was an honor meeting him. He's like, oh, it was great meeting you too, mate. Just the way his accent came across when he said it to me, it was just very, very funny. But yeah, very, very brief and quick process of meeting Paddy. And that was that. And then, yeah, those were the professional photos I got with both Kit Harington and Paddy Considine. But those weren't the only interactions I had with them because I was getting an autograph from both men as well. I did purchase an autograph from Paddy and Kit. So I was doing those two once again when those their signings were actually kind of close to each other because Paddy had his signing at 1:45 and Kit had his at 2. Well, my group to go in to meet him because they were separating Kit Harington's autograph by the number on your ticket. I had ticket 77, so I was put in group 2 at 2 o'clock. So it actually worked out perfectly because if it was 1:30, I might have had a rush to meet Paddy or vice versa and meet, you know, Paddy and Kit right away. So I'm glad it didn't really interfere with our time. So immediately after that, we kind of did whatever we could for the next half hour it was before I'd meet Paddy again. And then we got in his line to meet him in the Flea Bottom Market room. And that's exactly what I did. I met Paddy once again, got my Funko Pop sign right there, as you can see, to Zach with a signature on it. And the one thing you'll notice in this, as well as the other autograph I got, they just sign them in regular Sharpies, but the way they sign them, it actually comes off very, very nicely. Here you can see Paddy used a silver Sharpie. I did bring pen markers to sign, but I just wasn't thinking and I didn't prep them by shaking them and getting them ready. I haven't used them in a while, so if anyone that's used paint pens or paint markers knows that if you haven't used them in a while, getting the you know, work just right again takes a little while to get them going. And you know, once you start shaking them and then they become like big blops coming out, and I just honestly didn't want to sit there in line trying to get them right for like 5 to 10 minutes because that's what I feel like I have to do sometimes to get them to properly work. So I kind of just said, screw it, I'll just, you know, have them sign what they got, even though it wasn't a smart decision. But you know what, I'm happy the way it turned out because like I said, the signature looks really, really well. Now, yeah, it doesn't, you know, pop out as well as, you know, like these ones, but when you see it, you can see it perfectly fine. It's still very legible. You can see it perfectly fine, and, you know, it doesn't look bad or anything. I said, it kind of pops off, you know, just by, you know, looking at it right now, and in person looks even better. So I'm very happy with it. Very brief interaction. He was actually cracking jokes with the people in front of me, and by the time I went up to him, I'm a very shy person. I don't really have much to say. The way I see it when I meet people, unless I have some kind of story or at least something interesting that I think they'll find interesting to say, I kind of just keep to myself or kind of just kiss their ass. And with Paddy, I was kind of just, you know, thanking him and whatnot, and he asked me, because he signed his Funko, but he's like, how much do these go for? Like 15, 20 bucks? I'm like, 10 to 15, you know, depending where you kind of get it from. And it was just a very brief interaction. interaction. There really wasn't much to the conversation besides that. And afterward, I just thanked them and just pretty much walked off. And it was very, very short interaction meeting him. So yeah, not much to it, but like I said, I think the signature looks absolutely awesome on this pop, and I'm glad he used silver, because he even asked me if the silver was fine on it, because he had a few different colors, and I said, yeah, go for it. I think the silver would look awesome, and it does. So I'm very happy with the signature, and very happy the way it came out. And of course, after meeting Paddy, I went straight into Kit Harington's line, which he was actually... This is how big of a star Kit Harington was treated in this convention. He actually had his own room to sign, because all the other actors had to sign in the same room as like the Flea Bottom Market with all the other stuff going on. But Kit Harington had his own room to sign in, so they're really making sure that he was treated like a star that he is. And after sitting in line for about 10 to 15 minutes once again, I was finally able to meet Kit Harington again and get him to sign my Jon Snow and Iron Throne Funko Pop. And this thing looks absolutely gorgeous signed. He signed it in a gold Sharpie. It looks absolutely fantastic. You can see right there, it says to Zach. And his signature, I have no idea what the hell that little squiggly line down there is. Like, it looks like a G. I have no idea what that's supposed to stand for a signature, but I was very, very glad to get this signed. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. I'm glad he used a gold Sharpie too, because he had a bunch of different random regular Sharpies, like a black and silver, but I'm glad he used the gold. It looks absolutely fantastic. It sticks out really well as well. I know it might be, I mean, it's perfectly legible through the camera, but in person, it looks very, very nice, and it doesn't look faded or anything. It looks pristine. It looks fantastic. I really love the signature on it. Very happy with the way it came out. And funny little story about how I met him again, or when I met him again. So I wasn't really too sure what to say, because again, I don't like, you know, saying things that they probably heard a million times, or I just want to say something that stands out to them in my mind. And that's what usually I try to do. That's why I like to watch a lot of panels and interviews with like actors and stuff like that, just to hear them maybe tell a story that they probably wouldn't be asked about in the future. Like that's exactly what I did with Sean Chamel at SAC Anime this past September. And I talked to him for like 2 or 3 minutes because of that. So I was very happy with that. But with Kit Harington, I wasn't too sure what to say, because all I could pretty much think of was just kissing his ass. I didn't want to ask him a basic Game of Thrones question like he always hears. Like, actually, a few people in front of me asked him if he considered himself a Stark or Targaryen more, and his answer was Snow, always Snow. So I just didn't want to be, you know, give a basic question or something or whatnot. So I decided to do something that I joked with my girlfriend about, because she is a huge Harry Styles fan. And she like jokingly kept saying that if she had the opportunity to meet him with me, that she would ask him about Harry Styles. And for the autograph thing, they were very specific that only one person can meet him. Like if you're with somebody, that only one of you can meet them. So obviously she didn't really care to meet him. So I met him alone. And when I went up to him, I said, okay, Kit, this is going to sound really random. And he goes, go for it. And knowing that Kit Harington and Harry Styles were both in the Eternals, they actually, the only reason why this even came about is because the picture of them together with Gemma Chan from the movie that they took came out. I know they didn't have any scenes together or whatnot, but, you know, I thought I'd go ahead and ask. And I misworded my question. I said, my girlfriend is a huge Harry Styles fan, and she wanted to know what was it like working with Harry Styles. Knowing that in the movie they didn't have any scenes together, so they didn't really work together, but, you know, they met together. And his response, you know, it made him laugh. He chuckled at it. He thought it was funny. He goes, Harry Styles, huh? I'm like, yeah, she just wanted to know how it went. And he goes, well, technically I didn't really work with him. I just met him real quick and took a picture, and that was it. That was the only interaction they had. So they only interacted just for that picture. And I pretty much figured that much. But, you know, like I said, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of humorous. And he thought it was funny that I asked that. So to me, that was worth it, making him laugh. And, yeah, it made for kind of a funny moment for us. And I was like, yeah, you know, she wanted me to ask because of that picture. And he's like, yeah, it's all I pretty much did was take that picture, and that was it. And I thanked them, and I told him how much I appreciated him and whatnot, and walked away after that. So yeah, I wasted my one question to ask Kit Harington anything on Harry Styles. So yeah. Oh, and to answer the question, though, he did answer the question. He did say that he was a nice and sweet man. So he just, you know, didn't say he only met him and that was it. He did, you know, answer the question how he was, and he told me he was a nice and sweet man. So there you go, Audrey, got your answer. So after that signing, there pretty much was nothing else to do, because again, very minimal to do. And I knew that Kit Harington had a panel at 4 o'clock, so I figured I'd go down to the panel room and just wait for his panel essentially. And that was like around like 2:30. So I was, you know, had to wait about an hour and a half. But in that time period, they actually aired some footage from House of the Dragon, which they dubbed it was unseen footage from the Blu-ray in 4K coming out. But it was just like, you know, the production of the show talking about scenes and whatnot. So it was fine to watch, but it wasn't, I was expecting to see scenes that weren't actually aired. And after that, at 3 o'clock, actually, Paddy Considine had a panel. So I was able to watch him for the hour until Kit Harington's, and his was great. Paddy Considine. Can't say enough nice things about him. The dude's a tremendous actor. He's a very nice person as well. And he had a great panel. He had some great questions. He was very humorous as well. However, there was one person that tried to ruin it for everybody else towards the last like 10 minutes or so of the panel. I don't know if this lady was drunk or if she's one of those people that just wants the attention on her at all times. But she came in yelling, "Patty, I love you, Patty. Oh, Patty." You know, just being loud and obnoxious to the point where like literally everyone kept turning around and looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? But thankfully, you know, like I said, that was towards the end of his panel, so it didn't really ruin it. But it was just kind of annoying. You know, he's trying to sit there and answer a question. She's just like, "Patty!" And so, yeah, it is what it is. But he wrapped it up, and I was very scared that this person's going to continue because, you know, in between the time his was over and before Kit Harington's, she was yelling, "Where's Jon Snow? Jon Snow?" I'm like, oh my God, don't say she's going to ruin his now. But I don't know if she got escorted out or if she just shut up or she left. But after that, she didn't say a peep. So thankfully, we didn't hear from her after that. And then, of course, 4 o'clock comes around. Kit Harington's panel comes up. And again, very, very enjoyable panel. He had some great questions. He was very entertaining as well. He gave some honest thoughts about everything. You know, obviously, he gave his thoughts on the controversial final season of Game of Thrones. Gave his thoughts on, you know, things from Jon Snow's perspective as well as his own perspective, not in character. So I thought his overall panel was very good. You know, he had some humorous stuff as well. Gave some insight, you know, about his relationship, like, you know, him and Rose forming. Not Rose, like the character Rose, but, you know, the actor Rose. I played Ingrid because I know it was, you know, someone who plays Rose in Game of Thrones. So not to get those two confused. But yeah, obviously, Rose Leslie, his actual wife that played Ingrid on Game of Thrones, and they met on the show, and obviously they're together now, which is awesome. So we talked about that, and yeah, it was just very insightful and very enjoyable, our panel that Kit was able to do. And that was actually the very last thing of the convention, like I said, because the convention ended at 5, and that, you know, was an hour long. So after that, that was pretty much it for the convention. That was all she wrote, and then, yeah, pretty much just went back to the hotel room, ready to go back home after that. So overall, I gotta say, the Game of Thrones, the first Game of Thrones official fan convention, although it was enjoyable, this is not something that I'll say straight right now. This is not something that I will go back to unless they tremendously change it, or unless they have like more big names coming, like, you know, Emilia Clarke or Sean Bean or Richard Madden, you know, someone of those caliber of characters from the show, you know, are going to be there. And if it's like somewhere close, obviously, I'm not going to go to, you know, across the country for this or anything like that. But, you know, if they have some huge names and it's somewhere close by, maybe I consider it. But unless they do some major modifications, not major, but like at least have some stuff to do and have like a bigger room or more vendors too. Like I was expecting a handful of vendors at least, but there were only like 2 or 3, which I was very, very shocked by. So I'm not really too sure what they can do to improve it, but definitely at least put more effort into it. Even like the advertising, like the amount of people like online, like on Twitter and whatnot that I saw were saying that there's a Game of Thrones convention going on because they had no idea about it because there's literally no promotion for it. So I don't know. There's a lot more things they could do to justify it and, you know, change things to give more fan interest. But like I said, if I was someone that bought the package, I would have been livid. Or even if I bought, honestly, all 3 days. If I went all 3 days, I probably would have been pissed because there isn't enough to do. You can go there for, honestly, an hour and experience the whole thing. So yeah, for the first one, like I said, I kind of want to give them a pass, but at the same time, I can't give the company a pass considering they've been doing it for years. But my personal experience, I had a good time. Like I said, I went solely with Kit Harington, and that was completely worth it to me. Paddy Considine was excellent to me as well. Very awesome dude. Very, very enjoyable. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to leave a like below. Until next time, I'll see you guys, and thank you guys for watching the video.